All right. Hey, what's up? It's your girl Nique, and you're tuned in to Nique at Night. And hopefully, my sound is coming through well. I feel like this is a little too close up. Like, back up, girl, back up. Hold on. Let's back this thing up a little bit. Now, I wanted to do a video talking about the Nolan Wells situation. I talked about it on a previous live, but it was on a live where I talked about multiple topics. So I wanted to do a dedicated live just going over some of the things. Now, this situation happened on July 4th. This video is taking place a couple of weeks after that. So, a lot of what I'm going to go over in this video, many of you guys who have been invested in the case, following it from the onset, you probably have seen a lot of the things that I'm going to talk about. This is not a video where I'm giving you guys an update or new groundbreaking information, because since the beginning of this case, there has not been a lot of new groundbreaking information. I'm just gonna go over some of the things that have been floating around social media because a lot of my subscribers wanted me to specifically talk about it. They're like, girl, like, where's your Nolan video? Like, where are you at with this? Like, we need to hear from you specifically. So I say, you know what? I'll just go ahead and make a dedicated video. But I know there's gonna be people in the chat, loud in the back, talking about, I heard this already, or we knew this already. Most of the information about Nolan Wells is out already. Okay. It's been out. There hasn't been new findings. There has been no arrest. There has been no, okay, this exactly happened to him. There's been a lot of speculation. There's been a lot of rumors. There's been a whole lot of different things in different directions, but nothing new and groundbreaking to me. So, with that being said, we're going to get on into it. Let me know if you guys can hear me clear. Now, I have my mic sitting up right now, and I tried to kind of have it like out of the frame. But if you guys need me to bring the mic a little bit closer so you can hear me a little bit better, let me know. I prefer it to not be like in my hands or whatever. I kind of like where it is right here. But I know that it could possibly sound better if I do it here. I don't know. Y'all let me know if this is too close or if it sounds better away, because I know my voice sometimes kind of carries. But y'all let me know. Y'all ain't saying nothing too quick, so I'm gonna just put it back here, kind of out of the frame, and hopefully it picks up. If not, we'll adjust. So, with that being said, let's get into it. So, Nolan Wells is an 18-year-old boy, and he went missing initially on July 4th after he was celebrating on what's called Horn Island. I'm going to walk you guys through some of the timeline that we have in case you are under a rock and you're not familiar with this story. Then I'll kind of give you guys a little bit of background. All right. So basically, Nolan Wells, he was currently at Southwest Mississippi Community College. He was on break leading up to July 4th. And I believe that was his last weekend before he had to go back to school. So according to his parents, when they spoke out about it, they said that he was basically, this was his last hurrah before he had to get really serious with school and get back into the nitty and gritty of things. All right. So on July 3rd, he has spent time with his family. I believe they said that, he was a sophomore and he was having like a football season at the Southwest Community College. On July 3rd, he cooked salmon. Okay, sorry. He cooked salmon for his family. He hugged his parents goodbye, and he left to spend the holiday weekend with his friends. On July 4th, Nolan joined a group of his friends on a boat out to Horn Island. And Horn Island is basically like this remote island type of vibe where there is people along Mississippi coast celebrating there. It's supposed to be like a routine holiday beach trip. And, like I said, he was spending time before going back to school. So, what ended up happening was he goes to Horn Island with his friends. And his mother, she is normally used to, at the end of him hanging out with friends, getting a text message where he comes and says, hey mom, made it home, blah blah blah. He never gave the hey mom, I'm home text. And the friends ended up coming back on land, and when they came back on land, they had his keys and they had his phone, but there was no Nolan. So late that night, July 4th, Nolan's mom, Christine Wansley, she got a call. And they were saying that they were kind of like, I guess, missing Nolan. And they began searching. So by July 5th, the family is tracking Nolan's phone using Life 360. And it led them straight to the home of one of his friends who was on that boat. They discover, once they got to the house, the woman who was the mother of one of their other friends. She said once she got there, it took them like 15 minutes to bring the phone out. They didn't bring it out right away. And she found that to be kind of suspicious. Like, okay, y'all got his phone. We come to pick it up. The phone says that it's here. Mind you, they didn't call and say, hey, we got his phone, pick it up. They had to track it to find his phone. So once they get to find his phone and they're like, hey, what's up? Like, give us Nolan's phone. The friend who was the mom of one of his other friends, she was like, it took them 15 minutes to bring the phone out. She thought that was highly suspicious. So the friend takes the phone, she takes it to Nolan's mom. And when Nolan's mom looks at the phone, she's like, this is odd. My son always posts on Snapchat. He's always updating people on, the who's and the what's what. And he's always posting on Snapchat. And they looking over his phone to try to get some answers, and everything on his Snapchat was like deleted. Okay. Like there was no post on Snapchat. There was nothing there. And so his mom found that to be odd because he religiously posts on Snapchat. So they go through his phone. They see that there was nothing on Snapchat. They were like, they started feeling like there was something suspicious, and they felt like, messages are deleted. Stuff is weird. So later, on July 6th, a park ranger found Nolan's body. All right. His body was found on Horns Island. And this is where they, started a public outcry for help. Now, before we get into more, let me bring you guys back to the mom's first post on social media. Again, we're just going over everything that has been posted on social media and just doing my dedicated video on the subject. Let me go to the mother. Hold on. I had the mom's page up. Like, where is it? Oh, goodness. Okay, let me pull it up again. I hate when that happens. I have all these tabs up, and then the tab I'm looking for ain't there. Like, what's it giving? Hold on. Okay, maybe I need to close some tabs. I got so many tabs open, child. It's giving close some of these tabs, or just search for her. Let me just search for her page, because by the time I get through doing all this, I could have been already at her page already. Okay, anyways. All right. What's her name? Christine Wansley. I was like right at the right point. That's so annoying. Anyways, all right. So I have to go back down her page. I was like literally right at the exact point where she first. Oh my god, that's so annoying. Hold on. All right. So the first post that his mother posted was this be on the lookout post, okay? She didn't really know what was going on. She got alerted that her son was missing. And let me pull this down. Let me pull up her first post. All right, so this was the first post she posted. It says, updated. Please be on the lookout for Nolan. Last seen was West Tip North Side of Horn Island today around 3 p.m. And it was July 4th. He was wearing blue shorts and sunglasses. It's unclear if he made it back on land. Please message me if you have seen him or if you have information about his whereabouts at or after 4 p.m. Then she posted another post the next day and she says there are no updates. Nolan is still missing. Please, if you're a praying person, please pray he is found alive, safe, and unharmed. She then posted another post and she says, Nolan has not been found. His father and I have his cell phone. So for friends who are seeing his location, it's because we have it. Katie has contacted me. We are currently at Horn Island. We are looking for any information other than what we already know. Please PM if you have any additional information. So she posted that she was looking for her son, and people, started to put the word out that he was missing, if you have any information to help her find him. Then she started to ask for people to provide, pictures, videos, anything that they had so that she can, find her son. All right. So let's see. She said, my husband and I can't thank you all enough for the prayers and for those who have provided information. She wanted, people to private message her so she can figure out what was going on. She provided the photo that she had of what he was wearing and him that day with his friends. And she corrected, I guess, information that she had previously had said where he had black shorts. So she posted another post and she said, this is our Nolan Wells, aka No, one of the sweetest and kindest souls you could ever meet. He went missing on Horn Island on July 4th. I'm looking for any pics or vids that was taken on northwest tip of Horn. Please help us find our sunshine. So then after she was crying out for people to come forward, there were people getting a hold of this photo. So once people started to see his photo and they started to see that he was the one black boy with all white friends, people started to bring up the case where it was the black woman who went to that sleepover, and that was the last anybody heard from her. She ended up losing her life and nobody was held accountable. So people instantly started to bring up race and the situations that can happen when you are the minority in a friend group. Now, a lot of people rush to say, like, oh, this isn't a race thing. You have to realize that this is off the heels of two big racial stories. So if you guys put yourself in the perspective of America and stop being naive, biased, or obtuse, um, you can understand the racial climate right now and why people looked at the photo and were alarmed by how it looked, the optics of the times that we're in, etc. Now, before the Carmelo Anthony case went to trial, we had the what is his name? Rick Chow case, where it was the Asian man who shot a black boy from behind and killed him. Okay. Somebody who he accused of stealing at his store and killed him when the boy was clearly running away and got off scot free. Right after he got off and got a not guilty verdict for killing a black boy, then a week later, we had the Carmelo Anthony trial where Carmelo defended himself and was booked for 35 years. So, from those two things, you start to see how people really feel. The white bigots was letting people know how they felt about black people, and black people was seeing how the rest of the world felt about us. Now, following right after that, right on the heels of the Rick Chow situation, the Carmelo Anthony sentence, and seeing the disparities in the sentences for black people versus people who are not black, seeing the racial climate of America and how everybody, not just white people, how everybody feel about us. Then you come to this situation and you see Nolan Wells with this group of white boys, and they have his phone, they have his keys, but Nolan Wells is nowhere to be found and nobody knows what happened. That's quite alarming to people. Now, a lot of people want to make it seem like people are so bizarre to feel like there might be microaggressions in the group. There might be subtle things that happen within the group, and race being a factor. A lot of people try to act like, oh my God, oh no, it can't be race, blah, 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 blah. You had all of these people making sure to do think pieces, okay? Like, people had to push back. It was all these black people who had to push back and show their photos. Like, look at me. I hung out with white people and I'm fine. There was all of these people who had to do their, well, oh no, look at me and my white friends. Oh no, look at, you know what I mean? And then there were people who were bringing up the cases where it didn't favor black people in those scenarios. Let me show you some of the posts that I'm talking about, and then we'll talk a little bit more. So, you had this post right here where this woman, she did a whole post and she wanted to bring up the fact that, she hung out with white people and she didn't want this to be a race thing. Then you had this other woman who wanted to share her feelings about her sons being in groups where it's all white boys, and how she didn't want it to be this thing. She said, long post alert. I was going to keep quiet, but I'm tired of hearing. Hold on, let me make sure y'all see what I see. Hold on, let me push it over. I was going to keep quiet, but I'm tired of hearing it. Some things need to be said. I have been saying to myself ever since I read about Nolan Wells, should I say something or not? Y'all sound so stupid saying, don't let your black boys go with a group of white boys. My boys, since the age of 4, have had about the same friend group forever. Being that they play soccer, violin, cross country, wrestling, etc., That's who my boys are around almost every day. We consider those kids their brothers. Racism is taught. I don't care what y'all say, but our white friends treat us way better than our black friends if you really want the truth. I personally have a lot of Venezuelan, Hispanic, Korean, and Caucasian friends. So if you are racist, unfriend me, please. My mom and I started my kids out playing in water when they were just babies. My mom was a lifeguard and I was a junior lifeguard. We taught them how to swim and the do's and don'ts around um hold on, wait. The do's and don'ts around water. My mom lived on the lake. So they got older. She got them a small boat. And we taught them about life jackets and how to fish. So when we taught them about friends on the water and just about water safety, period, I say this to say my boys, especially Chandler, he's going boating with his friends at least 2 to 3 times a week. Yes, we trust them. But guess why? Y'all, parents, have to get to know the boys and their parents. I'm not talking about just speaking. I'm saying really get to know them. And you will know who your kids are safe with or who they are not safe with. I'm going to share some pics of my boys currently boating, tubing, fishing, and their white friends. Mind you, we don't see color. I love all my boys' friends the same. They go play pickleball every day, then head straight to the Waffle House. This has been daily since they graduated. They have been out of town with friends and back down through the years. Some soccer games I couldn't make due to work. Guess who had slash have my back? When I go out the country on vacation, guess who have slash had my back? When I need something or the boys need something, guess who have had our backs all these years? Yep, you guessed it. It's not our blood family, but the family we created and the family who has always loved us regardless of anything. So I want to say thank you to one of my longtime sister friends. We grew up playing soccer and softball together. Then we kept our boys together. Then there is this other lady and this other person and this other person and a few more. But these families are very near and dear to us and love us as we love them. I'd like to share a few pics from now and some from when they were small kids. Last but not least, my boys have biracial brothers on their dad's side who grandparents are Caucasian. And guess what? Christian is over there right now as I speak. They're getting ready to head to Florida next week. They go every year. And yes, I trust them. We love you, blank. Oh, yeah. And let me tell y'all something. Together we stand, divided we fall. I have so much more to say, but I think y'all get the point. Just scroll through my pictures and look at the love. We don't see color this way. We love our people down. The first pic is just this past Sunday night. Ooh, she's a good Negro, ain't she? Ooh, this is, they said, you know, when she was done with her post, they said, ooh, you's a good Negro. We loves us a good tap dancing Negro. We just love it. And you know, I'm sure her white friends was like, girl, we don't see color. Oh, shut the fuck up. Okay? Shut the entire fuck up. Okay? A lot of people try to have this, oh, no, those people that's in your circle have feelings about Black people. But use one of the good Negroes. You know what I mean? They sometimes have certain ones where they feel like, we could keep you in the house type. You get what I'm saying? You picking up what I'm putting down? Now, I'm not saying that her friend group is racist, and I'm not saying that all white people look at Black people a certain type of way. However, the way that she's talking, I can tell that she's around the types that make her feel like she's a superior uppity Negro. We it's not Black people that had our back. She's like, within her trying to big up her white friends, she's literally just typing self-hate, 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 self-hate. All I hear is self-hate, 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 self-hate. But she wasn't the only one to make these types of posts and make Nolan Wells disappearing about themselves. Like I said, there was a lot of people who felt like they needed to, well, let me tell you about my white friends, and let me also this post as well. This was another one where somebody wanted to also make, it about them and how they have a good white friend group and etc. So, let's read through this one. All right, let's move this over. Let's read through this one. So, this is another post. My heart truly goes out to Nolan Wells' mother, his family, and everyone who loved him. I cannot imagine what they're going through right now, and I hope they get answers. One thing that's been bothering me, though, is how quickly so many people have decided that because Nolan was the only Black young man in the group of white friends, those friends had to be responsible. Is that possible? Yes. We have seen situations throughout history where race absolutely played a role, and I'm not ignoring that reality, but at the same time, we don't know what happened yet. I can only speak from my own experience as the mother of a Black son. Brandon has spent most of his life being the only Black person or one of very few Black people in many of the spaces he's been in. He's traveled with friends of different races, stayed with their families, and built lifelong friendships. From my experience, those friends have looked out for him, protected him, encouraged him, and genuinely loved him. I know every family's experience isn't the same, but I also know ours isn't the only one. I don't think the message should be that Black families shouldn't let their children build friendships across racial lines because something is automatically going to happen to them. We should absolutely demand answers for Nolan and let the investigation uncover the truth. But we should also be careful not to replace facts with assumptions. Nolan's family deserves the truth. That's what I'm hoping for. Well, that's what Nolan's family was hoping for also. Like, they're hoping to get the truth and they're trying to figure out why things are so suspicious. And they're also trying to figure out like why you are trying to make it about you and your white space that you're in. Because it's like you're proud that your son is the only Black one in the room. It doesn't sound like you're raising him around his culture. It sounds like you think that inserting him in white spaces makes him better. And all I heard in that paragraph was self-hate, 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 self-hate. It just sounds like a bunch of hogwash that has nothing to do with any fucking thing. Because regardless if your son is the only Black person, or maybe there's a couple of other specks there, these boys are experiencing microaggressions. Okay. I don't care how much you guys try to say, oh my God, they love us. They don't see us as Black. These boys are experiencing microaggressions. It happens all the damn time. And what they're being told is, you're one of the good Negroes. Okay. Save it. But just like her, there was others who, like I said, they wanted to make it about them. They wanted to make it about their experience and, things like that. Um there were people who were upset that um the parents hired Ben Crump, etc. So let's move on to the next part that I want to talk about. So after Nolan Wells' mom was searching for answers, she was looking to find out what happened to her son, and so many people were trying to make it seem as though race had no role in this. And oh my God, like, even though we're off the heels of Carmelo Anthony, we're off the heels of Rick Chow, we're off the heels of the racial climate in America, and everybody's like, oh no, don't pay attention to race, even though every single thing has been made about race. They're like, no, nothing's going on. So, in the midst of her finding out what's going on, one of the sheriffs make an announcement. And this was before, I think this was even before Nolan's body. I think it just got found, but the autopsy results had not come in yet. And one of the sheriffs says, oh, there's no foul play. And it's like, wait, how do you know? How do you know that there's no foul play? Is your investigation complete? Did his autopsy come back? How are you so sure? So the parents, that set off alarm bells with them. Wait a minute now. You be like automatically off the rip, you're saying that there's no foul play. Then it comes out that one of the moms or stepmoms of one of the boys that he was on the boat with was a judge. So people start to find out about who these boys were that was in the boat with Nolan. People started to go to Nolan's page and look at his tagged images and see who he tagged in his photos and finding all their social medias. So as people start finding their social medias, they start deactivating. They start doing like this cleanse and this cleanup, and people like, hey, trying to find out what happened to Nolan, what's going on, what's tea. Like, we need answers. The mama's saying that there are deleted messages, something spooky going on. There's strange behavior. They don't even wait for the autopsy to get back, and they already saying it's no foul play. How do we know? The mom started to feel like there was something going on. There was a fly in the buttermilk. The milk wasn't clean. She felt like there was something nefarious going on, and she did not trust the authorities in Mississippi. So what she did was got Benjamin Crump and child, not me glancing at the chat and somebody saying, Miss Knight, are you pregnant? What? That just threw me all the way off. I'm so sorry. If I look fat to you, then just say that. Like, do I look fat to you or something? Because if I look fat, just say that. Like, I'd rather you say, Nick, you look like you gain weight. Like, girl, like, you eating good or something. Like, if you think I look fat, just say that. Because, girl, pregnant, stop. That's crazy. But anyways, let me get back on track. Anyways, so the mom goes and she gets the help of Benjamin Crump, and she tries to get the word out, or the mom and the father, sorry, they're still together. So they start going around and doing interviews and start to y'all are so funny. Yes, they trying to throw me off. Child, I'm rebuking all of y'all in the chat. Let me not look at the chat no more, child. That clearly did throw me off. But you see that's what happened, child. They try to throw you off your game, honey. But anyways, Somebody said, okay, I'll check this one out. Somebody said Mississippi, like most Republican states, has a history of not systemic racism. You mean a history of systemic racism? Thank you so much for the super chat. JFK, the God says, Nique, you look just as beautiful as always. Keep that glow up. Thank you so much. Somebody else said I look adorable. Thank you. You're glowing, keep shining. Thank you, child. Thank you. I appreciate that, child. Hype me up. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, so all right. So what was I saying? Child, y'all done threw me off. All right. So the mom ended up getting with Ben Crump. So let me find that one of the interviews that they did. 1 second, y'all. And should I have already had the interview queued up? I sure should have. I'm just gonna pull just a random Nolan Wells. Hold on. Nolan Wells, parent. Oh wait. Nolan Wells, parent interview.
First question, how are you two holding up?
Taking it second by second.
Day by day.
Second by second and day by day, which we all can understand. And I just want to ask you, the friends that Nolan traveled to Horn Island with, they say that he stayed behind voluntarily. Why would he stay behind?
That we cannot answer. I can't fathom why he would. Like,
I don't know why he would. We always taught him to, if you go with a group, you stay with a group. Mm-hmm. Even when he was in college, he would say, Dad, well, we're going to ride down to a party or something in another city. So I was out telling him, look, if you go with 5, you come back with 5. Do not.
All right. So I'm going to be pausing that, but we're going to watch that. I'm looking for my lip gloss. Anyways, so I'm going to pause this video real quick. That is his mother and his father doing their press conference. This was like some of the first rounds of interviews that they did where they spoke out and were basically saying that they feel as though he went out with a group and should have came back with the group, and they were finding things suspicious. I'll play a little bit more.
Separate from the group. I always said safety is in numbers. Mm-hmm. And he always said, yes, sir. So he knew to stay with his group. So why would he split from his group? I don't know.
So that would have been unusual for him to split from the group. Yeah. And you said he would always check in with you. Did he check in with you that day?
So that day, no, I don't. But of course, too, they were on the boat. And usually when he is out there, which it's not uncommon, he's, I think, since last year, he's been going there occasionally with his friends. And so it would always just be like, hey, Mom, I'm back, type of thing. But this time there was no call or text from him. It was from his friend.
And then, too, really didn't worry a lot about it because, it was his last weekend to have fun. Because that Monday, he had to report to school. We was preparing to take him back for camp to prepare for the season. So, we're going to see. He wanted to have his last little hurrah before he locked down and get ready for the season. Because, like I said, the entire summer he's training. He got more serious. He started to understand what I was trying to tell him about football not just being fun, but as you get farther in it, it becomes a business. If you want to excel, and you have to understand and have to understand both at the same time.
And we know, Ben, that you said that you're going to do an independent investigation.
Yes.
And you say you have Nolan's cell phone and messages were deleted. How could you tell messages were deleted?
Well, his parents got the phone back, and that's something that's important, Michael, because they tracked this phone on Life 360.
So Life 360, but when I received the phone call from Warren, I immediately called my friend Tashima and I said, hey, have you guys seen Nolan? Because her two sons, Jalen and Javon, like they grew up together. They played City League sports together. When they got into school, they played sports together. And so she was like, hey, okay, the boys were pulling up the location from Snapchat. So the Snapchat location looks completely different than the Life 360 location. So when I pulled up Life 360, it was different. It was showing everywhere the phone had been. I was like, well, it's showing that he's back on land. He's like, but no, he didn't come back with us.
Well, how were you able to get the phone?
So we tracked it, and my friend Tashima went and picked it up.
It wasn't like they said we got his phone. They tracked it, and that.
All right. So they went and got his phone and they tracked the phone, and the friend went to go get it. Now, the friend Tashima, she did an interview with her son, Javon. They spoke out about it, etc. I'm going to get to that in a minute. But in addition to them trying to find answers, there's all these people on social media trying to figure out what is going on. Now, one of the boys that was on the boat, his name is Warren. Now, as I stated, Warren has a stepmother who is a judge, and he also has a real mother who has also spoken out. Now, according to a guy on social media, he says that from a post that he made about Nolan Wells, the biological mother of Warren, one of the boys on the boat with Nolan, when he was last seen, contacted them and made a statement. Now, in addition to the biological mother of Warren allegedly contacting this guy on social media, there was also the post of the stepmother. Now, from the accounts of the biological mother and of the stepmother, they kind of differ and they're not kind of on the same page. They had a lot of people asking certain questions. I'm going to pull up what the stepmother had to say. She said that she was scared for her life. She was hold on. She said that she was scared for her life. She said that she was scared for her children's life. Sorry. So let me scoot over and read this to you guys. So this is Judge Ashley Coe, who I believe is the stepmother of Warren. And this is the timeline of events that she stated. Let me pull it up on a separate window so that I can make it bigger. And this is what she said. Our family, along with the community, grieves the loss of Nolan Wells. Our thoughts and prayers are with Nolan's family. Our son, Warren, loved Nolan dearly. Unfortunately, I feel that it is appropriate for our family to dispel some rumors with facts based upon the social media attention that is being diverted away from the Wells family and their loss. Yes, I deactivated my Facebook given the very heightened emotional state of social media right now. I fear, let me get into character. Yes, I deactivated my Facebook given the very heightened emotional state of social media right now. I fear for the safety of my child and my children. My husband and I have 6 children, and we covet their privacy. We do not believe it is appropriate for our minor children's photographs to be circulated throughout the internet, presenting potential threats to their safety. I graduated high school with Christine Wells Wansley. We're from the same community. I have the utmost respect for her and all the Wells family. We mourn the loss of Nolan with them. Our prayers have been and will continue to be with them. My husband and I were not at Horn Island at any point on 4th of July. No one in our family is trying in any way to impede with the investigation by law enforcement or to otherwise hamper the family and law enforcement's quest for answers. Warren was interviewed by the Jackson County Sheriff's Department and cooperated fully. He saw Nolan last around 3 p.m. July 4th. They left around 4:30 when the boat was taken on the water, and they had an issue with the bulge pump. Nolan made a decision to stay on the island and return inland later with another group of friends. Yes, I am a judge. I also value transparency. I apologize if anyone was offended that I deleted my social media. There is no nefarious motivations in my deleting my social media. Social media has a lot of positives, but a whole lot of negatives. We live in a world of clickbaiting, sad but true. My family is hopeful that this information will help to redirect the attention to the Wells family, their grief, and their need for our community support. So she posted this on her Facebook, and she accompanied it with a bunch of screenshots where people, I guess, were saying, some things about her kids or whatever and whatnot. But so that's what the judge said. Well, there was another post that, like I said, there was a guy who claimed that the real mom, and I guess the real mom's name is Katie. And they're saying that Katie reached out and she gave a different version. Hold on. Of events. And again, this is alleged. I don't know if this really is Warren's mom, but this is just what's on social media. But people started to see what Katie had to say, and they started comparing it to what the stepmom had to say. And let me see if I can pull it up here for you guys. So the guy who posted this, his name is Boogie Lowdown. And he posted up a post, and hold on. He said, well, hold on. Hopefully, let me make it to where y'all can see it. Wait, where is it at? What? Okay, let me X out of here. Oh, all right. Share this tab instead. Okay. All right. All right, so this is the post that was alleged to be the real mom of the boy that was with him. So Boogie Lowdown posted, and it says Warren Hudson's mother, Katie Hudson Seymour, reached out to me on 7/5/26 around 11:30 p.m. And this is what she had to say about her son, Nolan, and his friend Wyatt regarding the incident at Horn Island involving Nolan Wells. So he posted up several posts that she supposedly sent, and again, allegedly, I don't know, but this is what he posted soon after she, I guess, was alleged to have deactivated her social media. So this is what he screenshotted. It says, "Good evening, Mr. Roll Down. I am Warren's mother, the woman you have been talking about on Facebook and posting pictures of our family. I'm here to tell you that we all, Nolan and are all deeply distraught. Your information is not correct, and I ask you to please stop posting about Warren and our family. My son did not ride out with him, nor did he come back with him. The boat that Nolan was supposed to get on, Wyatt boat. He repeatedly asked Nolan to get one boat at 5 when it was, hold on. He repeatedly asked Nolan to get on boat at 5 when it was time to leave, but Nolan wanted to stay with the girl and their boat was parked next to his. All right, so the stepmom, remember what she said, that they last see Nolan at 3. Now, this woman who is saying that she's the biological mom, she's saying that he was supposed to leave with them and get on the boat at 5. So people were pointing out those two things, and it says he repeatedly asked Nolan to get on the boat at 5 when it was time to leave, but Nolan wanted to stay with the girl and their boat was parked next to his. He was insistent about staying with this girl. Wyatt asked him several times to please get on the boat, and people heard him. My son loves him and would never in 1,000,000 years leave him. Warren does not even have a boat. Nolan has been our house several times, and he is the sweetest friend. We all adore him. Again, when White asked for him to get on, he said that he wanted to stay, and Wyatt's boat started to fill with water. His boat ended up breaking down and was towed in. I don't know this girl that he wanted to stay with. I can just tell you, though, my son had nothing to do with it in any way, shape, or form. A matter of fact, he was the first person that noticed he was missing when they got back to their friend's house and called his mother, the Coast Guard, and the sheriff's office. Warren is very responsible and always keeping up with everyone else. So they're saying that, he called the mama, he called the Coast Guard. And mind you, this was posted on July 6th. So this was immediately before any of the information of the boat breaking down came out, immediately before there was all of these new updates that there was this call to the Coast Guard, before the timeline of the boat came out. This woman sent this message to him before we got all of that information. So as you see on the timestamp from when he posted this on Facebook on July 6th at 2026 at 11:35. So July 5th, this woman, he says, sent this to him before we got any of the things that we know now. Mind you, the stuff that we know now came out around, I want to say like maybe the 10th or so. This was on the 5th that she sent this message. And I believe that this is the mom because, again, this was before all of this stuff was public. So she says that, and let's continue to read. She says, he's always keeping up with everyone else. He was not on the boat again. Please stop hurting us. My son is beside himself. I never seen him like this before, and I ask you to please stop the blame. This is not the boy's fault. Nolan wanted to stay with this girl and was insistent. I ask you to take my picture down off of your wall and my son. I brought my other son out there and I saw my son Warren briefly and took a picture that we were not out there with them longer than like 10 minutes. I don't know how you're trying to link it all together, but I am just Warren's mom and I love Nolan very much. He comes to my house several times and I'm so sad. Please keep this down and look for this on prayers finding him. And then I meant low down, not roll down. Also, I want to let you know this whole day we have been looking for him. It has been devastating. I don't even know any of this was being said. I had friends with taking pictures of these messages. I'm going to get off of social media. I was advised as this is very destructive. I just ask you, please take it down as I don't want us to get any more messages about this. So, he responded back and it says, "Hi, Katie. Has any of this been told to," and I guess he meant law enforcement, "along with the description of the girl that he allegedly stayed behind for?" All right. So this is what was reported very early on. And the mother, she confirmed some of these things. Nolan's mom confirmed some of these things when she did her interviews. Now, there was a former judge who came forward and he gave his take on what he feels like should have been happening in the investigation. Again, a lot of you guys have probably seen this already, but this is my first time doing a breakdown. So I'm going through all of the things. Now, if there's anything that came up with the Nolan situation that you want me to cover in this deep dive, then send it to my DM on Instagram or on Facebook, and I'll be checking while I'm live because I kind of want to just like run through, what's been going on. Because like I said, a lot of people really wanted me to speak about this and make a dedicated video about it. Where was I at? Okay, so then there was this guy who was a former judge and he spoke out. But before I go to what the former judge says, let's hear one of Nolan Wells' friends speak out and say what happened. So there was this video that surfaced, right? And in the video, it was alleged that Nolan was getting into a confrontation and he was saying, give me my effing phone or something like that. Well, one of his friends came forward who was not on the same boat as him, but on the island. And he alleged that it was him saying that and not Nolan. Matter of fact, let me pull up that. Let me see if I could find that video. 1 second, y'all. We doing this on the fly. I'm pulling up. I should have had all of the links, but y'all, hold on. Nolan asks for his phone. Hold on, let's see if we can pull up the video. And then I'll hear from the friend and then we'll go to the judge. One second, let me find that video real quick. Let me make sure y'all can see what I see. Oh, hold on. All right, so if we pause the video here, you can see that there's clearly an altercation going on. Let me see if I could zoom it in. All right. So as you can see, there are people who are gathering close, like there is some phones. All right. So you see a group of people there. And then you see this group here. And then there's a black boy that you can kind of see in the midst that looks like Nolan. And there's people who have slowed it down. But when people were listening to this, they heard audio that sounded like it said, "Give me my effing phone," or something to that effect. Well, his parents listened to the video and they thought that that was Nolan asking for his phone. They were like, you know, he didn't have his phone. And then here's this video of somebody demanding for their phone and they wanted answers. Well, in their quest to find answers, one of his friends came forward and did an interview and he said, "Oh, that's not Nolan asking for his phone," even though Nolan showed up deceased without his phone. "That's me on the video." Let's hear it one more time and then I'll go to him saying that that's him and not Nolan. All right. So one of his friends came forward and said, "Oh no, that's me." Let's pull it up.
We now hear from one of the last people to see him alive, Aaron Katursky in Mississippi.
Tonight, we're hearing from a friend of Nolan Wells, who was with the 18-year-old on that isolated barrier island off the Mississippi Gulf Coast July 4th, the last day Wells was seen alive.
It breaks our heart that we can't even fully grieve our friend because we're scared.
Trayston Shepard says he and his friends are now getting threats, and he declined to speak with us on camera. But he addressed this social media video that's part of the investigation. Shepard says he's the one heard arguing from the boat, not Wells.
That's the video I'm referring to. That's me yelling.
Shepard says he took a boat back from Horn Island in the late afternoon, but Wells stayed behind with a girl he had met. Wells did not have his phone, but his friend tells us that's not unusual while swimming.
When Nolan got in the water, he put his phone on the dash, also with probably other 15 phones.
His parents say Nolan Wells went nowhere without his phone, but on July 4th, he left it behind in the boat. We're in about 2-3 feet of water, and so people hop over the edge and swim to shore.
Nolan Wells!
The community is clamoring for answers. Are you on any timetable here?
I think it's important that we don't put ourselves on a timetable. It's important to be diligent in gathering all the facts. That's what the family deserves.
We're also learning tonight, David, the local district attorney is involved in the case, though so far there's no evidence to suggest what happened to Nolan Wells involved a crime. David?
Our chief investigative correspondent, Aaron Katursky, tonight in Mississippi.
All right. So that was his friend speaking out. And actually, he made a longer statement. I thought that had the full thing, but I'll just read out what he said. He said, "That's me yelling. There was no talk about a phone in that video. I was telling my friends to let me off the boat so I can continue a fight I was having with the stranger. Nolan was not even on the island at that time. We did no wrong here, and we don't understand how we're getting so much hate. We all cared about and loved Nolan. I just know I lost my best friend. Nobody would ever hurt Nolan in our friend group. We would die for him. We would do everything in our power for that guy." All right. So that was the full quote from the friend. He said that Nolan wasn't saying, "Give me my phone." He said that he was saying, "Let me off the boat," so that he can fight somebody. Even though the crowd was off of the boat and people were looking like they were engaged in a confrontation face to face, he's saying, even though there's a crowd that's circling around a person that looks like Nolan and there's arguing in that moment, I'm on the boat and I'm saying, let me off the boat so I can fight. That's what one of the friends is saying. So then there was another friend that also made a statement, Javon, and let me see if I can Javon, hold on. Javon Nolan. Oops, I'm spelling stuff all wrong. All right, so let me see about Javon's statement. Let me see who has it posted.
Javon, have you seen the video that's been going around social media where people think that they're hearing an argument between people and they're wondering whether or not Nolan is one of the people in that argument? You just described that you had another friend, not Nolan, another friend who was in and got into a dispute. Is that video the other argument that you were talking about?
Yes.
So, but is that Nolan in the video?
I can't tell. It's too far away. But in that video, I feel like the voices are too clear. Like from the side, it's too clear for it to be that far away, for it to be Nolan arguing. And then also that altercation, it sounds just like my other friend that got into the altercation on the boat. And they were trying to, like, as he was in that altercation, I was calming him down. They were trying to get him out off the island. They were trying to get him back to land because he was just losing it. So
describe that. That's kind of interesting. What was that about?
He was just very hostile. Like he was just like really like mad. Like they were just trying to, like the parents on that boat were trying to get him out.
I'm curious if the police have. I know they said they're still investigating. Did any investigators ever speak to you about what you saw that day?
No, sir.
Really? Okay. Cops have not talked to you yet.
No, sir.
That's odd.
I don't see why the cops would have to talk to me. I mean, obviously, like, you know, like I had said my plea, like, because whenever I had talked to the people at Sunherd, it was whenever, you know, the body was discovered and the autopsy people and all those people were there.
Well, I'll tell you why I'm surprised. Because you knew Nolan well, and you knew that he was friends with these guys who were the last ones to be around him before his body was found. And I would think they would at least want to know, hey, just the things we're asking. Right. You know, did you ever hear of any of this stuff? It's odd to me. Just to gather information. Yeah, that the cops wouldn't have contacted you. Yeah.
And that's fine. Like, I'm completely fine with that. Like I said, I have nothing to hide. Like, that's my boy, and I want him to find justice. Like that, like this whole case thing, like whatever, like this whole situation, and none of this adds up to me. So like, it's really hard, like, for like people to just like keep on saying things when like none of it adds up, honestly.
All right. So that was the statement from his other friend, Javon. All right. And people said, that's odd. Somebody in the chat says, if he was calming him down, wouldn't he know for sure that was Tristan? I mean, you would think, but you know, I don't know. All right. And let me see if I could find Javon's mom's interview.
Boat. Do you recall seeing him at all that day?
Yes, ma'am. I did see him when I was out there on the island.
Can you tell me what you saw? Is anything seem strange to you about the difference that people are saying of how he was separated from the group?
No, ma'am. I don't think that Nolan would say, "Hey, bro, I'm staying with this girl on the island. Y'all go ahead and go back," without even bringing it, like not even asking to get his phone back. You know what I mean? I don't think that any of that.
What makes you so sure about that? Because I mean, obviously you've been with him, you've spent a lot of time with him. Did you know him to be someone to leave his phone or even say, "You guys go without me"?
Never. I've never known Nolan to stay back while his friends leave. He's always been a guy where if he rode with you, he's going to come back with you. That's always how he's been every single time.
You know, this friend of his, Trayston, also told ABC that that video people have been talking about that was said to show some sort of altercation, it did not involve Nolan. He said it was actually him yelling in the video and that you and a family member were holding him back because he'd been in a fight. Is that accurate?
Yes, ma'am. We were calming Trayston down. In that video where he said, "Give me my effing phone back," it sounds like him. So I'm pretty sure that he was right on that. But
Javon, I'm so sorry to think about what you must be going through.
All right, I'm gonna pause it right there. I don't know what happened. It messed up. But Trayston is saying that he didn't say, "Give me my phone back." But Javon is saying, "Well, yeah, I think that's him when he said, 'Give me my phone back.'" I think that's Trayston. Trayston just said that he didn't say, "Give me my phone back." And you were right there when you were calming him down, so you would know if his phone was a part of that argument or not. So it's like, huh? Trayston said, "I was yelling, 'Let me off the boat.'" And then Javon is like, "Oh yeah, it sounds like Trayston. When you talking about when he said, 'Give me my phone back'?" Huh? Which story is it? Because if you were calming Trayston down, you would know, oh yeah, he was heated because whatever, he was trying to get off the boat. Right? Like, if I literally had an incident and I'm calming my friend down and they're heated about something, I know whether they're heated about a phone or if they're heated about trying to get off the boat. Take It Up With God says, why was arguments happening and why did two people get their phones taken? It's odd. So the mother also talks about how she went to go get the phone and how it took them 15 minutes to give the phone. Hold on, let me find it again. Because I done lost where it was. See, Facebook be clicking out of stuff. Is this it? No, I need to be able to scroll through it. Hold on.
Javon. Javon said no, he hadn't seen Nolan since early on the island. And he was like, "What? Are y'all serious?" He was like, "Yes." And so Christine intervened in the conversation and said, Nolan has not been heard from since he left the island. Christine called me and told me, hey, where are the boys? Nolan hasn't been heard from since such and such time. Where are your boys? I said, well, Javon is with his girlfriend, and I just spoke with Jalen, and they are headed to downtown, which I was literally getting ready to get in the shower to go downtown as well. She said, well, Nolan hasn't been. So I instantly called with Christine on the phone, Javon. Javon said, no, he hadn't seen Nolan since early on the island. And he was like, what? Are y'all serious? He was like, yes. And so Christine intervened in the conversation, said, Nolan has not been heard from since he left the island. So Javon was like, well, that's when I seen it. I haven't seen it since then. Again, everybody goes their separate ways. So I then hang up from Javon because obviously there's nothing he can say to tell me anything. So then Jalen, I call him. Jalen did not answer the phone. Christine again is on the phone. Jalen did not answer the phone. LeBaron, I called, after he didn't answer the phone, I called LeBaron, which is their other friend, LeBaron Broomfield. He answered. He said, Jalen is in the gas station. Hold on. So he said, hey, Jalen, Mom on the phone. So he's like, Jalen, like, what's up, Mom? What's going on? I was like, hey, have y'all heard from Nolan? They said, no, we have not heard from Nolan.
But where was the phone?
So I was like, well, okay. So that's when we started tracking the phone. Well, for Christine, it said one place, but for them on Snapchat, it showed another place. So that's the place we went to. And it showed that everybody that was in the house, it was like a lot of people there. Like it was, I'm not familiar with all the kids. I only know like one or two there, but it showed that the phone was at what a lot of people were at. So that's how we knew where to go to. We went there. They were all there. They were sitting there, lights off, watching TV.
Did they immediately give you the phone? Because knowing that phone was there.
It took about 15. They did. They gave me the phone, but it took about 15 minutes to get the phone. Because I even asked, I'm like, did y'all have to walk back to Horn Island to get the phone? Or like, where's the phone? Because it took so long when they said it was in, when Wyatt told me it was in his truck, it took him so long to get the phone back to me.
Christine,
so when they brought the phone back.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Deshima. I want to hear that.
When they brought the phone, after I said something about it, he was like, well, she's going to get it. I was like, who's going to get it? He's like, the girl's going to get the phone. Christine called me.
Oops. Okay. So that is what happened to my. All right. So that was one of the parents who got the phone. She says her son gave his version of events and she gave her version of events. And then there was also this former judge who came out and he said what he feels like should be happening at this stage of the investigation. And I'm going to play that for you guys. Let me go to it. This guy came forward and he said, hey, I'm a former judge and, there should have been arrest warrants. There should have been this. There should have been that. Blah, 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 blah. So let me pull that up. All right. So this is Carlos Moore. And this is what he had to say about the situation. Let me make it bigger. All right. So, all right, so Carlos Moore on Facebook, he says, my thoughts as a former Mississippi judge who signed arrest and search warrants for 6.5 years and presided over initial appearances and preliminary hearings for those accused of murder and other crimes on whether an arrest or arrest should immediately be made of those suspected of foul play related to the death of Nolan Wells. And then he says, hashtag say his name, hashtag Nolan Wells. Let's listen to what he has to say. And we're not going to listen to all 36 minutes, but we'll listen to A little bit of it.
But arrest warrants. Someone who presided over initial appearances, arraignments, and preliminary hearings for those accused of murder and other heinous crimes in Mississippi. I can talk now that I am a retired judge. Had I still been sitting as an active judge, I could not give you my opinion about an ongoing matter. But now I'm a retired judge and I'm a practicing lawyer in Tennessee, and I reside in Atlanta, Georgia, but I'm from the Mississippi Gulf Coast, and I know the law, and I can give you my unfiltered opinion about what I believe should be occurring now or in the near future. Come on in. I have time tonight. I have time. And I'll be happy to give you my opinions, and then I will be happy to answer any questions that you may have. It's time out for playing games. It's time to know the truth from someone well-versed in it, that has actual experience. I've worn the robe, the black robe, and I've presided over these trials or preliminary hearings, arraignments, and initial appearances. Let's get started. So what do we know? We know, after watching the parents' interview and reviewing tons of footage from social media, recounting interviews and statements of alleged witnesses that were on Horn Island, we know that Nolan Wells went to spend the night on July the 3rd with his so-called friends. And he went with those so-called friends to Horn Island on a boat on July the 4th. We know that out of the 4 people on that boat, 1 did not return home. That 1 person was Nolan Wells. The other 3 returned home as normal and said nothing to any member of law enforcement or to the Coast Guard until at least 11 p.m. at night on July the 4th. We know that at least 1 of the so-called friends was found with the phone of Nolan Wells. And we know this based on the testimony of the parents, specifically the mother, who tracked the phone and was led to the home of one of the young men where she retrieved the phone. We also know that based on the mother's testimony, that Snapchat, there were no Snapchats from the day, which was very odd for her son. We also know that text messages were deleted. We know that when she was tracking the phone, Life 360 said the phone was one place and Snapchat said it was another place. We know that the boy that had the phone did not voluntarily turn it over or call first. He had to be found through their own investigation. We know that based on witnesses' account, the so-called friends were seen on July the 5th, that Sunday, having breakfast together like nothing had happened. They were not out there searching for their so-called friend. We know that the so-called friends deleted their social media, deactivated their accounts, and scrubbed it clean if the allegations are correct. We know that the young men or the young man that had the car at his house did not willingly turn over the keys. At first, he said that he did not have the keys. He didn't know where they were. Then he, after being pressed by the father, he finally turned over the keys. This is all very suspicious activity. We know that based on an audio recording and some video that Nolan Wells can be heard saying, "Give me my freaking keys." Excuse me, "Give me my freaking phone." And there's been two different versions. Some said he said, "Give me my freaking phone," or some say he said, "Give me my MF phone." Regardless, he was asking or demanding his phone. Someone had his phone who did not have permission to have his phone. So the first thing I see, the simplest thing I see, is who had his phone and why. And
I speeded him up a little bit.
Of the
Y'all
phone?
saying that he's talking too
Sometimes we
slow.
look at the largest case, we try to get to murder, but the person that took his phone committed a crime right there. There are witnesses to who took that phone. If an affidavit is signed, an arrest warrant could be signed by a judge in Mississippi to go after that person that had that phone unlawfully. We know, based on his own words, Nolan Wells' words while he was alive, he did not give whoever had that phone permission to have that phone. So was that theft? I think if an affidavit is signed, if it was presented to me when I was a judge, I would have signed an arrest warrant for the person for theft of that phone, based on what I've heard. It'd have to be an affidavit format, but if it was presented to me, an affidavit format from law enforcement, I would sign the arrest warrant for, at least at this point, theft of the man's phone. We know who had it. We know who didn't report it to the family. The family had to go find it, and we know that Nolan Wells said, "Give it back to him," and evidently it was not given back to him. Why was that? All of the other things I've stated, you piece it together. Is there enough right now for arrest warrants for murder? That is a good question. I do know at this point there should have been search warrants signed by a judge. Evidence should have been presented to a judge by now. We are nearly 7 days after July the 4th, when he was first reported missing. There should have been evidence submitted by Jackson County law enforcement agents, the sheriff's department specifically, presented to a judge so that search warrants could be signed by the judge. And there needs to be, or should have been, someone questioning the young men, the three so-called friends, and others, and the social media accounts need to be searched by now, or at least a search warrant should have been issued for the appropriate entities to give the law enforcement access to the social media information. That should have been done by now. I'm not telling you what I imagine. I'm telling you what the process usually is when you're trying to do a thorough investigation. And based on what's revealed from a thorough investigation, I do believe once the evidence is secured, it's going to lead, and it should lead, to the arrest of one or more individuals for the murder.
Oops. I accidentally clicked off of it.
Are very suspicious. And right now, they lead one to believe that one or more persons could have been involved with the death of Nolan Wells.
All right, so we'll pause him there. So that is what a former judge had to say. And he got a lot of press for speaking out. There was a lot of people who brought him on their shows. He did a lot of interviews, talking from his perspective as a former judge. He went on Don Lemon's show and a couple of other shows of people interviewing him on what he felt and what he thought. Now, in the midst of people talking, and I think even before his video, there was a photo of Nolan Wells allegedly at a party. I'm not going to pull up the photo and go into the whole photo, this, that, because, the photo has not been authenticated. People saying that it was later that night, and then people saying that it was a week before. So we're just going to skip ahead from that. So after, people started to say, hey, there should be more investigation into this. Don Lemon had did several videos, and he talked about how he called the sheriff's office several times, so many times, and they wouldn't give them a phone call back. They made the initial report where they said there's no foul play and there's nothing going on and we don't suspect anything nefarious, etc. Then Don Lemon and I believe his correspondent, they called, and they got no answer. So this judge goes out and he starts, talking about, hey, this is the things that should be happening. This is the protocol. This is this, that. And then we then get an update from the sheriff's department where they say that, oh, well, hold on, like we are investigating this. So let me pull up that video where the sheriff, after they said before the autopsy that there was no foul play, how then they said, oh, wait, like back up off of us. Y'all making the block too hot. We are investigating this. Let me pull up what he said. Oh, and one of the senators also, a senator spoke out. Hold on, let me find the sheriff said. One second. Let me see if I could find it really quickly. Hold on. Bear with me 1 second, y'all. Nick, you should have had this already. Sheriff and Nolan Wells. All right, boom. Booyah, we found it. Okay, hold on. Let me share it. Sheriff Ledbetter.
Wells' body was found on Horn Island. As the country sits and waits for the investigations to conclude, many questions are still left to be answered. Today, I spoke with Jackson County Sheriff John Ledbetter on where the investigation stands. Speculation continues as to what happened to 18-year-old Nolan Wells over Independence Day weekend. Jackson County Sheriff John Ledbetter met with WLOX to give what updates he could. However, considering
This investigation is active. It's ongoing.
he wasn't able to confirm much. Ledbetter did confirm that interviews have been conducted with witnesses and the department has been in contact with other departments and agencies, including the FBI. The investigation has benefited from information brought by the community.
This recent week, we've got a lot of valuable information that has come from the public. We put out a call to action last week for that information, and it has been very productive for us.
Many are preparing for the return of Wells' autopsy. However, toxicology testing is conducted by outside laboratories, and the analysis and review process can take several weeks. A spokesperson for the Mississippi Department of Public Safety states every case is unique and deserves a thorough review. Therefore, cases cannot all be handled the same way or in the same timeline. While theories circle social media, those who are close to Nolan are still waiting for closure, as one friend spoke in an ABC interview.
I think everybody needs to let the investigation continue and let the facts be shown. And if the fact shows that somebody harmed Nolan, I hope that there is justice brought And if it was a tragic accident and somebody didn't speak up, I still hope justice is brought. The facts is the only thing that's going to overturn that. So that's what I'm just waiting patiently to see before I think anything else. I just know I've lost my best friend.
All right. I don't know why I didn't play the part where he said something about the FBI was involved, etc. I don't know why that part didn't play, but whatever. So he said that, and then let's see. There was also a senator that spoke out as well. Let me see. So Senator Jeremy England had some things to get off of his chest. And hold on, it's probably going to kick me out. I'm going to come right back in, y'all. Hold on, I got to refresh this tab. Okay. All right. It was not letting me. Man, I hate when it be tweaking. StreamYard be tweaking a lot. All right. So here we go. Okay. So this is what he had to say. So Senator Jeremy England says, I have not said much on the Nolan Wells death and investigation because that is not my job. However, I have seen many people that are not from Jackson County calling into question several people that I have the utmost respect for in our community, and I do not appreciate that one bit. So let me say this as clear as possible. Sheriff Ledbetter and District Attorney Angel Myers are two people that I have the utmost respect for, and we are very fortunate to have people of their caliber serving our community. I have known both of them for decades, and I will gladly put my name and reputation on the line, saying that they are handling this situation with honor and with dignity. They have stayed above the noise and the attacks, which is no surprise to anyone that knows them personally and professionally. I looked up Sheriff Ledbetter growing up. I looked up to Sheriff Ledbetter growing up with him in the church of Pascagoula, and I admire D.A. McRath as someone I currently attend church with in Ocean Springs. They have the type of character we all should want in these very important offices, and I would not pick any other individuals in the world to be in the spots they're in now to handle this case and other cases. The same goes for our outstanding county coroner, Bruce Lynn. This goes not only for those fine people, but it extends to the outstanding offices they have put together full of fine people providing services to our county. I am extremely disappointed to see insinuations being made against my friends on social media and elsewhere. And I know that it's tough on them and their families, but I know they will handle it all with grace and will perform their assigned duties that we have entrusted in them. I stand with these leaders wholeheartedly, and I ask you to join me in praying for them and their offices and their staffs, and to continue praying for the family and friends of Nolan Wells. We will all get through this difficult publicity that is not at all deserved by this wonderful community. I know this because I know the character and the heart of those of our voters and have chosen for these vital public service positions. To those that question their character and their motives with no reason at all, shame on you. All right? So he said, shame on you guys for feeling like you don't trust them, because before the autopsy came out, they start making statements and all that and what have you and whatnot. But shame on you for calling their investigation suspicious. Shame on you for looking at the fact that one of the boys' parents is a judge. Shame on, I'm just adding to it. You know what I mean? Like, why not? Let's add. Like, because that's what it's giving, right? That's what it's giving. It's giving, even though the Warren boy got the stepmama that's a judge, and even though we announced that there's no foul play before he even got the autopsy, even though we have been, raising some eyebrows, shame on you for these good Christian folks that I go to church with and you calling them into question. Shame on you. This is a good community. We go to church in Ocean Springs, and these people are lovely. And it's like, okay, thank you, whatever, like, cool, I guess. I don't know. But so the senator spoke out and chimed in on this as well. And let me see, what else is there? There was so much going on, so many people speaking out, so many people upset with the family or whatever. But I just wanted to go over the main meat and potatoes of it to bring you guys up to speed on a lot of this. Oh, the timeline. The timeline. Hold on. Let me pull up the boat data. 1 second. Okay, hold on. Nolan Wells boat GPS. One second. And then I want to hear from y'all. So I put the link in the chat. If anybody wants to come up and speak about what you think about Nolan and all of the things. His funeral is tomorrow. There are a lot of people going to Mississippi for his funeral. I seen somebody earlier on in the chat, and I meant to get to it. Somebody earlier on in the chat asked me if I was going to his funeral, and the answer is no, I'm not going to his funeral. The family is going to live stream his funeral, so anybody who wants to view his funeral, you can view it from the comfort of your home, and you can watch it on YouTube or what. I don't know where they're going to be streaming it at, but I'm sure you'll be able to type in Nolan Wells funeral and be able to see it, because the family is going to stream it. But no, I personally am not going to Mississippi for the funeral. So no, to answer your question. But the boat GPS data, I forgot to bring that up. I'm gonna pull up that video, and then if anybody wants to come up and speak and tell what you feel about this, anything that I missed that you want me to pull up, let me know. All right, so let's go over this.
Earlier today, the family of Nolan Wells met with the district attorney, who confirmed the investigation will eventually be turned over to a grand jury. They're still wondering what happened to the 18-year-old on the July 4th weekend. Let's bring in Anna Schechter, who runs our crime unit. She's joining us right now. Anna, so what are we learning about those new details in this case? What can you tell us?
Well, we actually have obtained new movement records, GPS data. Our Jared Eggleston and Skylar Henry down in Mississippi obtained this from a Mississippi entity, and it actually shows exactly where the boat left from when it arrived at Horn Island, you're seeing as that scrolls down on your screen there, you're seeing that July 4th, that tracking movement, the vessel reaching Horn Island around 11:14 a.m. And then we also see when the boat left. Now, as we've been reporting, Nolan Wells was not on that boat, although his keys and phone were. And so we see the boat then go and actually dock at a different location, then drive overland to the home of the owners of the boat. So this is new information that is all being reviewed by investigators who are still trying to figure out exactly what happened to Nolan Wells, Mugo.
Yeah, his parents have a lot of questions there. Anna Schechter, thank you so much for bringing us that update.
All right. So let me see if I can find, hold on. Nolan Wells boat timeline. Because I think there was like pictures that showed it. Let me see. All right. So hold on. Let me post this. All right. So just so that you guys can see a visual of what she just said, this is the GPS data. Oh, dang. Hold on. It's the wrong format. All right. So as you can see, this is the GPS data. So it's saying that July 4th, 9:56 a.m., the boat leaves for Horn Island. So they leave from wherever they live so that they can go to Horn Island. 11:14 a.m., this is when the boat arrives at Horn Island. 4:31 p.m., the boat leaves Horn Island, and then the boat returns to the dock at 6:06 p.m. And then they're saying that the boat boat owner is cooperating with investigators. So this is the timeline of the GPS data. And people are wondering, like, okay, so if you guys are saying that you last seen Nolan at 3 p.m., why at 4:30 was there nobody giving Nolan his phone? So it's like, okay, you guys last seen him at 3. You guys decided, like, okay, well, we're just gonna leave him on the island without his phone, without his keys, and we're just going to hope that he makes it. You know, a lot of that does not sit well with people, and it sounds suspicious. Now, the family wanted to get their own independent autopsy done. Tyler Perry volunteered to pay for the funeral, and then Colin Kaepernick volunteered to pay for his own pay for an independent autopsy for the family. Now, from my understanding, the autopsy was supposed to be back already, but we haven't heard the results from either, from my understanding. And a lot of people are wondering, why haven't the autopsy results been revealed? My guess is that maybe the family probably wanted to focus on laying him to rest first before they announced what the autopsy findings are. That's just my guess. But we'll see. I think that, they're going to have the funeral tomorrow. And my prediction is right after that, we're going to hear what the findings of the independent autopsy were or whatever. Also, the family decided that they were going to jointly give up his phone. Because at first, when they got the phone, they didn't immediately give his phone to law enforcement because they didn't trust law enforcement. So they decided to have their investigator and law enforcement both do a dump of the phone at the same time so that they can find out what the goings-ons is in his phone. So they met with the DA. The DA said that they were going to hand over this case to a grand jury. And that also made people suspect, like, okay, well, if you guys are saying that there's no foul play, why are you now saying that you're going to meet with the family? And then when you meet with the family, now you're saying that you're going to hand this over to a grand jury. Like, what's that about? So a lot of people are suspecting that they must have found something or something has come up to where somebody needs to be accountable for something. Not saying that they need to be accountable for murder, but there's a fly in the buttermilk somewhere. Now, again, they have to do their investigation. They have to go through whatever it is. And we'll find out on the next episode of Dragon Ball Z, I suppose. The family created a GoFundMe account. And on their GoFundMe account, they have raised funds. Because they have raised funds, people have started to, say that, this is a money grab and they're just trying to get money and blah, 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 blah. I'm going to show you guys the GoFundMe that was created for the family. So this is the GoFundMe that was created for the family. It was created by a friend of Nolan Wells' mom. And it says, in memory of Nolan Xavier Wells, they had a goal of $750,000. They raised $739,564. And in it, it says, in love and memory of Nolan Xavier Wells, our hearts are broken beyond words. Nolan Xavier Wells was a beloved son, grandson, brother, friend, and teammate whose life touched so many people. His smile, kind heart, and love for others left a lasting impact on everyone who knew him. After an extensive search involving countless volunteers from the United Cajun Navy first responders, local law enforcement, the United States Coast Guard, and organizations from across the region, our worst fears became reality. While no words can ease the pain of this unimaginable loss, we are deeply grateful for every person who searched, prayed, shared his story, and stood beside our family during these difficult days. As we begin the painful journey of laying Nolan to rest, we are asking for help to ease the financial burden placed on our family. Funds raised will be used for funeral and memorial expenses. Well, Tyler Perry said he paying for it, so I guess, the funds will be used for something else. It says celebration of life services and additional costs associated with honoring Nolan's memory. We will also use these funds to investigate what happened to Nolan and how he died, to pursue legal and just consequences for Nolan's death, and to fight for transparency and justice in our pursuit for the truth. Any remaining funds will help the family treat and manage the mental and emotional anguish associated with Nolan's disappearance, his death, and all the unanswered questions and mysteries surrounding his death. If you are unable to donate, we ask that you continue to pray for our family and share this fundraiser. Your kindness, compassion, and support mean more than words can express. All money raised goes directly to the family. Thank you for standing with us, for Nolan, and for helping us honor a life that ended far too soon. Forever loved, forever remembered, and never forgotten. All right. So, this was the mom who posted it, and she posted 16 hours ago, or on her page it said that it was organized by her friend. I guess they changed it over to her as the organizer, because at first it was another person. But anyways, so this was the update 16 hours ago. It says, to the Wansley family, please know that so many of us are continuing to keep your family in our thoughts. Oh, this is somebody who posted this. Never mind. So these are people who posted on the wall. My bad. I thought that was the update that they made. Anyways, all right. So this is the GoFundMe that they have. And with this GoFundMe, there has been a lot of people who are attacking the family, and they are saying, oh, you know, Ben Crump is an ambulance chaser, and Al Sharpton is an ambulance chaser, and they're doing this for a money grab, and blah, 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 blah. Well, right before the funeral, the mom went to social media to show how somebody sent her this post where it was of Al Sharpton, her, Ben Crump, in front of like a press conference, and they sent it to her home. Let me show that to you. All right. So, hold on, let me show you guys. All right. So, this is what the mom posted. She said, whoever sent this to my home, may the good Lord have mercy on your soul. Bold enough to send this crap, but not bold enough to list your return address. This is America, where a grieving mother and father have to deal with this type of behavior because we asked a simple question of what happened to our son and accepted all the help we could get to find answers. Please go touch some grass. So the photo that she's referring to is this picture right here. So she says that this picture was sent to her home. And as you can see in the picture, there's arrows that are going from Al Sharpton's eyes to her as she cries, and it has dollar signs on it. And then there are arrows from Ben Crump's eyes to her with dollar signs on it. And she is saying that these people found her address to where she lives and sent the fact that she's trying to use all of the resources that she can to find out what's happening to her son. They sent this to her to try to say this was a money thing. All right. So she posted this right here. And a lot of people, you know, sympathized and empathized with her, and they wanted to know if she could track it down. Somebody in the comments says, is there any way that the cops can get fingerprints or DNA from the stamp? Like, people really want them to get justice for this, because how dare you go and send something like that to a grieving mom? And when it comes down to this, it just tells you what people think about Black lives and how they feel about it. nobody batted an eyelash at almost $1 million that Austin Metcalf's family raised. But if this family who doesn't know what happened to their son, trying to find answers, trying to utilize resources, God forbid, gets any type of assistance, then you have all of these people sending them hateful things. But they want you to be so sympathetic and help raise $1 million for Austin Metcalf's family. Anyways, so what else was there? And then the mom also posted another post where she said that she wanted to keep her son's name alive and etc. So that's everything that I'm going to go over in this video. I'm starting to get sleepy. My eyes, child, anytime I put eyelashes on, my eyes be feeling like they getting weighed down, okay? Once I start getting sleepy, my eyes start feeling like they're getting low. So I don't want to fall asleep on you guys, but I wanted to go over the meat and potatoes of this story. There was a lot of people who contacted me and wanted me to speak about the case. They wanted me to go over a bunch of different things. Oh, and before I go, there was somebody who said, Nique, what do you think that happened? Honestly, I don't know what happened. To say like, oh, I think this happened or that happened. I think that the girl, whoever this girl is, who they say that he left with or wanted to stay with, we haven't heard anything about that. As far as her giving a statement, or who she is, there's been speculation, and I've been seeing different white girls being posted. I don't know which white girl she is or who she is, but apparently it's the white girl that he wanted to go hang out with. I need to know what her statement is. And a thing also that y'all have to realize in this, we don't see color. We don't see race. And I think that this was the situation with Carmelo. And sorry to bring it back to Carmelo, but it's always a girl in the midst of a story when it comes to possible betrayal, right? When it came to the situation with Carmelo, he had been kicking it with Eddie Parra, the boy who invited him to come under the tent that dapped him up and he was talking to, for months. They have been hanging out. They have been going on family outings together, going playing basketball together, hanging out in the room. But the common denominator was the cousin that wasn't blood, but was the cousin. And in that situation, I wanted to know, did Eddie Parra have the hots for his fake cousin? Because just because the family is close and they're telling you that's your cousin, that don't mean that you don't have feelings for them. And when it comes to Black boys dating outside of their race, there can be this territorial component with other men of other races when they feel like you taking their kind. When it comes to this story with Nolan Wells and everybody saying nobody's seen color and blah, 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 the common denominator in this story also is a white girl. And I don't know which white girl it is, but I guess it's a white girl who he was supposed to be staying back with. And everybody's attention is on the friends that he was with. And, you know, they're like, oh, well, what do you think? Do you think the friends did it? It's a possibility. I don't know. But also, what's the deal with this girl? And is there a family member that was on the island that didn't want no Negro talking to her. And something happened. I don't know. I think that there will be a lot of things answered in the autopsy, toxicology, etc. It looked like there was a lot of underage drinking going on. So when you have drinking, water, heat, that doesn't really go well. So I'm waiting to see what the autopsy says, what the toxicology report says. I think from there we can get a lot more answers. Was it alcohol in his system? Was he drinking like the other boys? Was he under the influence of something else? Did he actually drown? What the true nature is. Was there any blunt force trauma? Was there any, things of that? We'll find out more with the toxicology report, but that just came to mind of like, it's always a girl. And the optics, it brings you back to certain stories. All of that. Was it an accident? Was it not? There's some people in the comments saying that he didn't drown and he did not drown. And then there's some people who saying it was just simply an accident and he just accidentally drowned and it was the riptide. It was the current. We'll find out on the next episode of Dragon Ball Z. So if there's anybody who wants to come up before I close out and give me your thoughts on the situation, you can. If not, we'll wrap there and I'll just go to sleep because, baby, I feel these eyes getting low. I'll give y'all a couple seconds if y'all want to click on. If not, we will end the stream. Somebody said one of the parents out there said they didn't see him drinking and he stayed sober. They didn't smell alcohol on him when he was around them. He was preparing for camp that Monday. Okay, well, we'll find out in the toxicology report. Somebody said he can't have drugs in his system for football camp, which is why it's going to be important to see the toxicology report. If he was not supposed to have alcohol and he didn't, and he did, then that would be telling, right? If people said that they didn't smell alcohol on him, but then the toxicology report says that he had these things in his system, then that would tell us, a lot. So, I mean, we'll get a lot more answers on the toxicology report. And that will give us some answers. So far, it's 700 of y'all. And it's midnight right now. And nobody's clicking the link. So I guess y'all don't want to talk. So therefore, I guess I will end the stream. Thank y'all for staying up late night with me. If there's any more developments, if I got the energy, maybe we'll cover his funeral. I don't know yet. But y'all let me know what y'all think. Let me see some of the stuff that y'all saying. Them boys had his body at the what? Somebody said, damn, I just got here. Child, well, we've been on for 2 hours and ain't none of y'all clicking the link. So, child, I'm tired of talking at this point. I wanted to sit back and hear what y'all had to say. But somebody said, you can't have drugs in your system as an athlete. We take mandatory physical. That's what I'm saying. If there is drugs in his system, then that would tell us a lot. That's what I'm saying. Like, if he wasn't to be on drugs, but then they found drugs in his system or something like that, that would tell us a lot. That's what I'm saying. Somebody said I would have clicked the link. I'll be home in 20. Good night and bless your heart. Bless your heart for the Southern Belle accent. Sure, you know what I'm saying? But anyways, but yeah, so if there's any new updates, I'm gonna try, like, child, I'm not even gonna jinx myself because every time I say I'm gonna be trying to get more videos out, child, we just gonna see what goes on. But anyways, thank y'all for tuning in. And if there's any topics that y'all want me to cover, DM me and let me know what topics y'all want me to cover. And until next time, I'll catch y'all on the next video.